I, I believe we have Sean Shepard here. Yes, Sean, come join us. Yes. Good to see you again. Wonderful. Yeah, and I was listening to your beautiful preludes, and the last one was so interesting with like two different worlds coming together. Tell us a bit about them.
So first of all, the program note in the that you have in the pamphlet, the program, it's actually not written by me. It was written by the person I wrote the piece for, who's a local pianist named Aaron Wunsch, and a very eloquent guy. So I let him describe the pieces, but he and many other people since have heard a lot of Debussy preludes and French music in it, but I didn't have any intention of doing that, and it was the same problem that Usher was talking about, that we sometimes have a hard time getting away from our heroes. But in that case, with each of these short pieces, this was kind of a piece that was written in sort of preparation for a bigger, more important piece, but of course this was the piece that I ended up feeling a little better about. But that the third movement especially is one where it was just a very simple game. I'm going to start out by just only playing white keys, you know, only C major scale notes, and start gradually adding sharps and flats, you know, the black keys. So by the end of this opening section of that third piece, you have really just the black notes, and that's very much going on at the same time as there's this sort of these big kind of cloche, you know, these big bells or something that are sort of ringing in a different register. So.
The other thing that's so interesting about that piece is that you have a very delicate texture, almost a filigree-like texture happening in one world, and then the other world that is happening in much more slow motion. So you have two different time scales going on.
That was one of the things I really enjoyed about writing that piece. Was probably one of my first pieces for solo instrument, which is you have a lot of liberation in terms of rhythm. You're essentially writing a soliloquy. You're not necessarily having to write, you know, a marching band arrangement in terms of getting everyone together at exactly the same moment as you might with an orchestra or even a string quartet. And so I was thinking about ways of notation, of how to get a sense of freedom, a sense of poetry. And so in the music, there's very few actual notes. Everything's written as what we call grace notes. These, if you read music, the tiny little notes. So there's a lot of things that are sort of flying away, but they're sort of flying from and toward nothing, and that was the idea. Yeah.
Well, it's a very intriguing piece. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure our audience will also. Thank you so much.